In a small, picturesque village nestled between rolling hills and a serene river, there lived a man named Samuel. Samuel was known throughout the village for his unwavering stubbornness and his inability to accept the ideas and opinions of others. His stubbornness was like a thick, impenetrable wall that isolated him from the rest of the world. Samuel had lived in the village for as long as anyone could remember. He was married to a kind and patient woman named Emily. They had been married for many years, but their marriage had grown strained and distant due to Samuel's obstinacy. The villagers often tried to offer Samuel advice or share their wisdom with him, but he would dismiss their words with a wave of his hand and a curt, "I know better." He firmly believed that his way was always the right way, and he had no time for the opinions of others. One sunny morning, as the birds chirped and the river glistened in the distance, Samuel had yet another argument with his wife. It was about something trivial, as most of their arguments were, but it escalated into a heated exchange of hurtful words. Emily, tears in her eyes, finally said, "I can't live like this anymore, Samuel. Your stubbornness has driven a wedge between us. I'm leaving." Samuel was shocked by her words, but his stubborn nature prevented him from apologizing or trying to stop her. He simply watched as Emily packed her bags and walked out the door, leaving him alone in the home they had shared for so long. Days turned into weeks, and Samuel found himself in a deep abyss of loneliness. His once peaceful home now felt empty and cold. He missed Emily terribly, but he couldn't bring himself to admit that his stubbornness had driven her away. As the days passed, Samuel began to reflect on his life. He realized that he had alienated not only Emily, but also the entire village. He had no friends to speak of, and his only companions were his own rigid beliefs. The villagers had tried to help him countless times, offering their friendship and advice, but he had rejected them all. One evening, as Samuel sat by the fire, he thought about the events that had led to this point. He remembered the kindness of the villagers and the love he had once shared with Emily. Regret washed over him like a wave, and for the first time in his life, he felt the weight of his stubbornness bearing down on him. Unable to bear his solitude any longer, Samuel decided to seek out the advice of an old wise woman who lived on the outskirts of the village. She was known for her profound wisdom and had helped many in their times of need. Samuel hoped that she could guide him out of the darkness he had created. The journey to the wise woman's cottage was long and arduous, but Samuel was determined to change. When he finally arrived, he found the cottage surrounded by a beautiful garden filled with colorful flowers and fragrant herbs. The old woman welcomed him with a warm smile and invited him inside. "Tell me your story, young man," she said kindly. Samuel poured out his heart, recounting his stubbornness, his strained marriage, and the loneliness that had enveloped him. The wise woman listened patiently, her eyes filled with empathy. "Your story is a common one," she said. "Many people let their pride and stubbornness stand in the way of happiness and meaningful relationships. But it is not too late for you to change." The wise woman then shared a parable with Samuel, a story that had been passed down through generations. Once upon a time, there was a mighty oak tree that stood tall and proud in a lush forest. It believed that its way of life was superior to all others, and it looked down upon the lowly reeds that grew by the riverbank. The oak tree boasted of its strength and inflexibility. But one day, a powerful storm swept through the forest, and the mighty oak tree was uprooted and cast aside. It lay broken and defeated, while the flexible reeds bent with the wind and survived. The reeds had the wisdom to adapt, while the oak tree's stubbornness had led to its downfall. Samuel pondered the meaning of the parable, and it struck a chord deep within him. He realized that his stubbornness had been his downfall, just like the mighty oak tree. He asked the wise woman for guidance on how to change. The wise woman smiled and said, "Change begins with humility and a willingness to learn from others. Open your heart to the wisdom and ideas of those around you. Apologize to those you have hurt and make amends where you can. It won't be easy, but it is the path to healing and happiness." Samuel took the wise woman's advice to heart. He returned to the village with a newfound determination to change his ways. He began by apologizing to his fellow villagers for his past behavior and his refusal to accept their ideas. Many were hesitant to forgive him, but he persevered. He also wrote a heartfelt letter to Emily, expressing his regret and his desire to make amends. He knew that winning her back would be a difficult journey, but he was willing to try. As the days turned into weeks and then months, Samuel continued to work on himself. He listened to others, embraced their ideas, and learned to compromise. Slowly but surely, he began to rebuild the trust and friendships he had lost. One day, as Samuel was tending to his garden, he heard a familiar voice behind him. He turned to see Emily standing there, tears in her eyes. She had read his letter and had decided to give him a second chance. With tears of joy, Samuel embraced Emily, knowing that their love could be rekindled through understanding and change. Together, they worked on their relationship, learning to communicate and compromise, and their love grew stronger with each passing day. The village also welcomed Samuel back into their fold, and he became known not for his stubbornness, but for his wisdom in recognizing the error of his ways and his determination to change. He had learned that true strength lay not in inflexibility, but in the ability to adapt and grow. The years passed, and Samuel and Emily lived a happy and fulfilling life together. Samuel had become a beloved member of the village, known for his open heart and willingness to listen. He had finally found the wisdom to accept the ideas of others and had discovered the true meaning of happiness and love. And so, in the small village between rolling hills and a serene river, the story of Samuel served as a timeless reminder that even the most stubborn of hearts could change and find redemption when they opened themselves to the wisdom of others. It was a story of transformation, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love.